isn't going up beyond, 165 or 170, then the thermostat is either stuck open or opening too soon.
Okay.
And if that's the case, you put a new one in and voila, it's fixed.
But let's assume that he did that. Because
he would have done it.
How would you not do it?
Okay.
Now what?
Well, then I assume that the heater core could be plugged, or the heater control valve.
I like the valve idea.
Could be malfunctioning.
Yeah, I think it's the valve.
I think so, too.
Is this something that goes out commonly, like that my cousin and I would both have the same problem?
It could be.
Okay.
So I would ask Dad to check that. Does he like your cousin better than he likes you?
No.
Does he work on your cousin's car, too?
No.
So that's what you need to look at.
That would be number 2.
First, the heater control valve, and if both of those things are working, then the heater core could be plugged up and preventing the circulation of the coolant, which would, of course, prevent the heat.
Okay.
But one of those things is going to fix it, I'm sure.
Okay.
Good luck, Tracy.
Good luck.
Bye-bye. 1-888-CAR-TALK. That's 888-227-8255. Hello, you're on Car Talk.
Hey, guys. This is John from San Francisco.
John?
Hello, John.
How are you?
We're doing well. How are you?
Good.
I am doing terrific.
Great. What can we do for you today?
Okay, I have a 1989 Ferrari 328 GTS.
Oh.
And I bought this car because the guy that sold it to me told me that it was cheap and reliable transportation.
Did he have any bridges that he was selling?
Most of the time, I'm a happy and well-adjusted owner. However, I've had this problem now for about 2 years that just does not go away. The issue is this. The car works fine when it's going forward. It works fine when it's stopping. The problem comes when I try and put it into reverse. About 25% of the time, if you try and engage reverse with the car at a complete stop, the gear goes in with this horrible crunch. It's as if you were trying to engage reverse with the car moving.
Yeah.
You look like a real plonker.
Yeah.
And it's difficult to look suave. Well, look at the bright side. In the 2 years, it hasn't gotten worse.
No, that's true. Yep.
That's good.
That is good, yeah.
What it means is that you have no more teeth on that synchronizer to grind off. You've ground every one of them off.
And I just want you to know, this is about the only Ferrari question that we would have had a snowball's chance of answering.
Yeah, so lucky you.
Lucky you.
Lucky me.
If you had said anything else, like if you asked us, like, is the engine in the back or in the front, we wouldn't have known.
Okay. All right.
So what's wrong is that you no longer have a synchronizer left for reverse. Thankfully, the other gears still have their synchronizers.
Right.
And that's why you can shift into those gears without the grinding. I would recommend you could have the transmission rebuilt, which would cost you about 400 million lira. Or is that 400 billion lira? I don't remember.
I think it's billion, but you have to bring the car to Rome.
Yeah. Now, the other possibility is that the clutch is not sufficiently disengaging. When you drive the car, does the clutch engage very close to the floor?
I guess the friction point is maybe 2/3 of the way down, round about where it should be. I mean, the Ferrari mechanic guys, I mean, if you own one of these cars, you enter into a deep and meaningful relationship with a whole bunch of different mechanics.
Yes, does it involve holding hands at candlelight dinners?
That happens before and after. Yeah, and they claim that pretty much all of the time when they look at the clutch, the friction point is okay.
Do you have any idea how much free play there is in the clutch? When you push it down with your fingers, how far down does it go before
you feel the hydraulic with it?
Yeah.
Essentially none.
No free play.
Well, very, very little. I've never pushed it down with my fingers, but you can't feel any with your feet. Is that an insufficiently...
Yeah, the feet are not sensitive.
Well, you might know. I think John has sufficient sensitive. He sounds like a sensitive guy to me.
He does. He's very
Australian.
sensitive.
We are a legendarily sensitive people.
You are.
Yes.
I mean, it's known throughout the world. If you want to find sensitivity.
Right, drink warm beer. Well, anyway, I would have to say that it could easily be that the clutch is not disengaging, and reverse would be the most difficult gear to get into if the clutch weren't disengaging fully. But I'm still going to stick with my original theory that you've ground up the synchronizers.
Okay.
But I would ask them to bleed the clutch first.
Okay.
I think you're in for some huge bucks here.
But, I mean, why else would you own a Ferrari if you weren't prepared for that?
Right, and on some level, you must enjoy it.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, you could have bought a Holden and you wouldn't have any trouble like this.
Well, here's the order in which I'd recommend you do things.
Okay.
You ready?
Yep.
I would, if bleeding doesn't help, I would then go ahead and replace the clutch master cylinder.
Right.
And maybe even the slave cylinder, but you can do them separately.
Okay.
If neither one of those helps and you're still embarrassed by this condition, and or you have any money left,
Right.
you can go ahead and replace the clutch itself. Oh, when that doesn't solve the problem, then you'd have to go ahead and rebuild the transmission. But that's last on the list. But I think before you get to that point, one of several things will have happened. Either you will have solved the problem, or run out of money, or an earthquake would have struck and your part of the city would have fallen into the ocean.
Or you would have sold a car.
One of the
Or I will have sold the car. Yeah.
Or you'd build a circular driveway.
See you later, John.
Which would be cheaper, by the way.
Thanks, guys. Very much.
Good luck.
One.
That really was the only question he could have asked us. Maybe about the cooling system. We might have had a shot at something about a Ferrari. Have you ever seen a Ferrari?
Oh, yeah, I go to the auto show every year. I see.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm kind of disappointed in all these years they've never offered to let us test drive one.
You're not surprised, though.
Not at all. Stars. 1-888 Car Talk. That's 888-227-8255. Hello, you're on Car Talk.
Hi, this is Francesca from Chicago.
Francesca. Che bella nome.
Thank you very much.
What's up?
Well, I have a question. Let's say you're driving your car around the city on a very dangerously empty tank of gas.
This is a hypothetical question, and it didn't happen to you or anyone that you know.
No, no one I know.
Okay, you're driving around in the city on a dangerously low tank of gas. Yeah.
And there's many stoplights on the way from your apartment to the nearest gas station.
I got the question.
So,
Should you shut off the engine when the light turns red?
Well, should you idle and park, or should you idle and drive, engage? And I argued with my boyfriend that we should idle and park, because you disengage the engine, and that surely is going to save some gas. But he told me that I was ridiculous, that I was being a girl, didn't know anything about cars, and that right then and there, I just wanted to call you guys and get the answer.
No, boy, I don't think you're going to like the answer.
I'm not going to like the answer.
Yeah, I mean, well, the only, I think, I mean,
Well, I have to say, I don't know the answer.
Ah.
When has that ever made a difference?
Well, and I know enough about what the answer is to argue with any answer that my brother gives you. So, no matter what it is, I'll be on your side.
Well, here's my answer. It hardly makes a difference.
Oh, that's the only answer there is. That's good.
In other words, the engine is running, let's say, at 900 RPM when it's in park. And you'll notice, and this may be the reason for, I don't know who took what position, I forgot.
Well, the boyfriend took the position that you should idle in drive.
Oh, okay.
Probably because it's idling slower.
But the only reason it's idling slower is that you engage the transmission. You know, the RPM drops down because now the transmission, all the gears and the fluid and all that stuff that's in there is moving around, and it's dropping the idle speed down to maybe 600 or 700. But that doesn't mean it's using any less gas.
No. So that's the answer. That it hardly makes a difference.
Yeah, it's now the correct thing to do, I would think, if you're really concerned, is
go through the light.
Right.
You don't stop for those pesky red lights, do you?
If you shut the engine off,
Turn it off completely?
I would turn it off. Yeah.
Oh. No.
Yes, absolutely.
Crazy.
Especially in a modern car.
Who said she didn't tell us it's a modern car?
It is.
How old a car is it?
It's a 2000 Nissan Sentra.
Lost satellite reception.
It's a modern car.
And my brother's right.
Yeah, the best thing to do is to when you get to a light, put it in park or neutral, whatever it takes, and shut the key off.
It doesn't take more gas to turn the engine?
No.
No?
No.
As long as you don't start it up and go vroom.
No, in fact, in this car, you don't have to touch the gas at all.
Don't touch the gas pedal at all, and just start it.
Oh.
So this is something you guys do all the time?
I was just having a very hard week and being a little on the lazy side, so I had been driving my car around on an empty tank for a very long time.
Oh.
Well, to answer your question, you can bury the hatchet.
Okay.
Because it hardly matters.
Hardly matters.
Well, I hope you have a better week this week.
Okay,
Thanks for your call, Francesca.
Thank you. Bye.
Bye-bye. All right, look, it's time for us to take a short break, and when we come back, we'll have the answer to last week's puzzler.
Oh, the cylindrical puzzler.
How did you remember that?
You really want to know?
Yeah, I really want to know.
I picked at your notes when you went to get coffee.
You cheated, you bum. That makes sense. All right, look, we'll be back with the answer to last week's lower mathematics puzzler and more of your car questions right after this short break.
So please stay tuned.
Step on the gas, and my car won't go.